How does a city, perched on the arid hills of a forgotten corner of the world, without mighty rivers or abundant natural resources, become the spiritual epicenter for billions? This is the story of Jerusalem, a place that has been razed twice, besieged 23 times, attacked 52 times, and changed hands 44 times. Despite its turbulent history, it remains the spiritual heartbeat of over 3 billion people. This is the chronicle of a city that defies time, a testament to faith, conflict, and human resilience. Imagine you are a nomad 5,000 years ago, wandering under a scorching sun with your thirsty flock. Amid dusty hills, you discover a spring of pure water gushing from the rock. This is the Gihon Spring, the hidden soul of Jerusalem, the reason this city exists. Without this life-giving source, there would be no temples, no walls, no sacred legacy. It all began with water. The earliest settlers, humble families rather than kings or prophets, grasped a primal truth. To control water is to control existence. They built their homes with local limestone, the golden rock that still glows in the sunset today. The Jebusites, as we call them, devised a system of tunnels to protect their spring, carving through solid rock with rudimentary tools to ensure access to water even during war. By 2000 BCE, Jerusalem appeared in Egyptian texts as Rushalamum, a name etched in the Amarna letters, clay tablets that served as the diplomatic correspondence of antiquity. In them, a local king, Abdi-Heba, desperately pleaded with the pharaoh for aid against his enemies. "I have neither soldiers nor archers," he wrote in anguish. Even then, Jerusalem was a coveted prize. Though small, spanning just 10 hectares, its location was strategic, a crossroads between Egypt and Mesopotamia, linking desert to sea. Caravans passed through its gates, carrying spices from Arabia, timber from Lebanon, and tales from distant lands. Its markets echoed with a babel of tongues: Egyptian, Akkadian, Hurrian, and local Canaanite dialects. The Jebusites' religion mirrored their environment. They worshipped El Elyon, the Most High God, and Shalem, the deity of dusk, from whom the city likely took its name. Archaeologists have unearthed fertility figurines, incense altars, and remnants of offerings, evidence of a faith tied to nature and survival. These rituals, perhaps performed on the very spot where the temple would later rise, laid the spiritual foundation for what was to come. Around 1000 BCE, a young leader named David, famed for slaying Goliath, gazed at the Jebusite walls. His enemies mocked him from above, claiming even the blind and lame could defend the city. But David knew a secret: the Gihon Springs Tunnel. In a daring operation, his men, led by Joab, infiltrated the conduit and took the city by surprise. Jerusalem fell without a prolonged siege, and David made it his capital. Why choose a Canaanite city? David, a brilliant strategist, needed a neutral place, free of tribal loyalties, to unite Israel's 12 tribes. Jerusalem, straddling the north and south, was ideal. David did more than make Jerusalem a political capital. He transformed it into Israel's spiritual heart by bringing the Ark of the Covenant there. The procession must have been a spectacle: David dancing, trumpets blaring, the people singing psalms. His son, Solomon, took the city to new heights with the construction of the first temple, a 7-year project. Cedars from Lebanon, brought by sea, and precisely cut stone blocks combined in a masterpiece. The temple was more than a building. It was a declaration of faith, with its Holy of Holies, a sacred space entered only by the high priest once a year. For the next 4 centuries, Jerusalem was a pilgrimage hub, with thousands of Jews ascending for Passover, Pentecost, and Sukkot, filling the streets with incense, chants, and sacrifices. But in 586 BCE, tragedy struck. Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon besieged the city for 2 years. Starvation was so severe that people resorted to cannibalism. When the walls fell, the temple was looted and burned, its treasures carried to Babylon. The elite were exiled, and Jerusalem lay in ruins. It seemed the end. Yet, in 539 BCE, a surprising turn changed the city's fate. Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon and allowed the Jews to return. The Cyrus cylinder, still preserved, is seen as a milestone of tolerance. The exiles, filled with hope, journeyed back, singing psalms. But reality was harsh. They found a city in rubble. Under Zerubbabel, they began rebuilding the temple, but resources were scarce. Elders who remembered the first temple's glory wept at the modest foundations of the second. Yet prophets Haggai and Zechariah promised its greatness would surpass the first. Nehemiah, a Persian official, led the rebuilding of the walls in just 52 days, a heroic effort with families working under constant threat. Jerusalem rose again as a fortified city. The following centuries brought new challenges. Alexander the Great introduced Hellenistic culture, dividing Jews between those who embraced it and those who resisted. Tensions erupted when Antiochus IV, Epiphanes, desecrated the temple, sparking the Maccabean revolt. Judas Maccabeus, with a small army, liberated Jerusalem and purified the temple, giving rise to Hanukkah. In 63 BCE, Rome arrived. Pompey entered the Holy of Holies, finding it empty, a space reflecting faith in an invisible God. But it was Herod the Great, in 37 BCE, who reshaped Jerusalem. He rebuilt the temple on a monumental scale, with white marble walls and a vast esplanade supported by colossal stones. His work dazzled pilgrims, though his reign was marked by paranoia and violence. In this grand setting appeared Jesus of Nazareth. During Passover in 30 CE, Jerusalem teemed with over 1 million pilgrims. Jesus, overturning the money changers' tables, challenged the authorities. His final days, the Last Supper, Gethsemane, the trial, and crucifixion, marked a turning point. 40 years later, in 70 CE, the Jewish revolt against Rome culminated in a brutal siege. The temple burned, and Jerusalem was devastated. Historian Josephus described rivers of blood flowing through the streets. The city seemed doomed. Yet, in 130 CE, Hadrian tried to erase its identity, renaming it Aelia Capitolina, and barring Jews from entry. This sparked the Bar Kokhba revolt, which failed tragically. But Christianity, an emerging faith, saw new meaning in Jerusalem. In 313 CE, Constantine legalized Christianity, and his mother Helena identified holy sites, building the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Jerusalem became a Christian hub, filled with monasteries and pilgrims. In 637 CE, Caliph Umar entered the city, accepting its surrender with humility. He established a pact protecting Jews and Christians, allowing them to practice their faiths. The Dome of the Rock, built in 691 CE, transformed Jerusalem's skyline, declaring Islam's presence. For centuries, under the Umayyad, Abbasid, and Fatimid caliphs, the city thrived as a center of coexistence, though not without tensions. The Crusaders' arrival in 1099 marked a dark chapter. After a brutal siege, they massacred Muslims and Jews, turning the Dome of the Rock into a church. But in 1187, Saladin recaptured Jerusalem, showing mercy and allowing Jews to return. Under the Mamluks, and later the Ottomans, from 1516, Jerusalem flourished again. Suleiman the Magnificent built the iconic walls still defining the Old City, along with fountains and renovations to the Dome of the Rock. In the 19th century, European powers influenced Jerusalem, bringing consulates and modernity. The population grew, and Jews became the majority. Zionism fueled tensions with Palestinian Arabs. In 1917, the British took the city, promising a Jewish homeland while Arabs claimed their rights. Violence erupted in the 1920s and 30s, and the UN's 1947 partition divided Jerusalem. The 1948 war left the city split, with Israel in the west and Jordan in the east. In 1967, the Six-Day War reunified Jerusalem under Israeli control, but divisions persist. Today, with 950,000 residents, the city is a mosaic of faith and conflict. Muslims, Jews, and Christians pray at their holy sites, while political and social tensions endure. Jerusalem remains an enigma, an impossible city that unites and divides, where the sacred and human intertwine in an eternal dance. Its future is uncertain, but its ability to endure, despite everything, is its greatest miracle.